My mom and stepdad are ranchers. A while back, they bought a new work truck and put the old one up for sale. A woman from a rural town, about 4 hours away, was immediately interested, but she kept giving excuses for why she couldn't meet halfway to get the truck. My stepdad is nice to a fault, so he convinced my mom to follow him in a second vehicle that Saturday so he could drive the truck all the way there. But my mom already had a bad feeling about it. When they arrived, the woman gave this long, confusing story about having bank problems. Then she handed them a post-dated check and begged my stepdad to leave the license plates in his name. My mom pulled him aside and argued with him. She refused to let the plates stay, but he still accepted the check. Sure enough, when the date came, the check bounced. The woman dodged phone calls for weeks, until finally she picked up and launched into another ridiculous excuse, this time saying she was in the hospital. My stepdad, for once, stood his ground and told her they were taking the truck back. So, they made the 4-hour drive again, this time with a flatbed trailer, just in case the truck had been stripped. No one answered the door to property, but they found the truck sitting in a shed. They loaded it up and prepared to leave. While my stepdad secured the load, my mom couldn't resist leaving a message. She wrote a note that said, "Thanks for nothing. Hope you enjoyed screwing us around," and slipped it under the woman's door. About 15 minutes into their drive home, my mom's phone rang. It was the woman, suddenly no longer hospitalized. She was furious, threatening to take the note to the RCMP and charge them with harassment. My mom simply told her she'd have to explain her own attempted fraud first. The woman hung up, and they never heard from her again. My brother has always been fond of using Craigslist to hunt for good electronics deals. Back when the iPhone 5 was brand new, he found a guy in Akron, Ohio, selling one for less than a third of the retail price. It sounded too good to be true, but my brother reached out anyway. The seller claimed he got them for free somehow and just wanted to sell them quickly because he needed money. He told my brother to meet him at a frozen custard shop at 10 o'clock at night. When my brother pulled up, the place was completely dark. It was just an empty, vacant lot. Something felt off, so he drove past. Immediately, his phone rang. It was the seller, who said he saw my brother drive by and that he needed him to pull into the dark lot to make the trade. My brother refused, saying it was too sketchy. After going back and forth, they finally agreed to meet at the nearest McDonald's instead. He drove there as fast as he could and went inside. He called the seller and told him to come in so they could do the exchange, but the seller insisted they meet in the back parking lot. That was the breaking point for my brother. He told the guy he wasn't interested anymore and hung up. After ordering some food, my brother and my little cousin walked back out to the car. That's when it happened. Out of nowhere, a man in a black mask grabbed his cousin and started choking him. He screamed at my brother, "Give me all your money or he dies!" His cousin cried out, begging him, "Quick, give him the money, I don't want to die!" But instead, my brother bolted back inside the McDonald's and called 911. The employees locked the doors immediately. His cousin was eventually let go and ran to the doors, waiting until police arrived. It seemed cruel to leave a young kid outside like that, but everyone inside was terrified of the gunman forcing his way in. After that night, my family never used Craigslist again. I was redoing my kitchen with new appliances, so I decided to list our old stove on Craigslist. It still worked perfectly fine, and since I didn't need the money, I put it up for free, hoping it would go to someone who really needed it. Within hours, I got over 100 responses. I picked the first 10 people and gave them my phone number, making it clear again that the stove was only for someone in genuine need. The first lady I spoke to told me her story. She had just lost her job, and on top of that, her own stove had recently stopped working. She said this would be a huge blessing. She asked me if I could hold it until 3 p.m. when she could come with her son to pick it up. I agreed. I then emailed the other 9 people telling them the stove was spoken for, but that I'd let them know if it became available again. Not long after, I got a phone call from a man. His tone was cold and aggressive. He said, "Yeah, I'm coming to pick up that stove." I explained the situation, that it was already promised to someone else. That's when he got pissed. He snapped at me. "I have a right to that stove. You emailed me." I asked him straight out, "Were you planning on scrapping it?" His response was, "That's what I do." I told him flat out that the stove was meant for someone in need, not for someone trying to make a quick buck. That's when he exploded. He became abusive, shouting into the phone until I finally hung up on him. Hours later, the woman I promised it to showed up with her son. They were polite, grateful, and genuinely relieved. When I mentioned to the son how nice it was that he was helping his mom, he looked at me and said, "Yeah, she's had kind of a shitty few days." He went on to explain how she had just lost her job. It was one of those moments I realized you really do have to take the good with the bad. Craigslist has both.